The laughter echoed across the college courtyard like thunder, and for one heartbreaking moment, a father wished the ground would swallow him whole. Dozens of students stood frozen with their phones raised, recording every second as a worn-out backpack slipped from his trembling hands, spilling patched clothes, old notebooks, and a carefully wrapped lunch onto the pavement. Some laughed. Others whispered. A few simply looked away. But no one knew the truth hidden behind that faded backpack. No one knew that the man kneeling on the ground had already sacrificed everything for someone he loved more than life itself. And before that day was over, the entire college would discover a story that would leave them speechless forever. Before we continue, if you believe kindness is stronger than judgment and that everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Heartline Stories for more emotional stories that remind us what truly matters. Every morning before sunrise, Marcus Hale woke up in a tiny rented apartment where the walls were cracked and the furniture had seen better days. His alarm wasn't a clock but years of responsibility. Long before the city opened its eyes, he prepared breakfast, packed a homemade lunch, washed dishes, and quietly checked on his daughter, Serena, who was studying at one of the most prestigious colleges in the state. Marcus had become both father and mother after losing his wife to illness when Serena was only 6 years old. Since then, every dream he once carried for himself had quietly disappeared, replaced by a single promise he whispered beside his wife's hospital bed: their daughter would have every opportunity they never had. Life never made that promise easy. Marcus worked construction during the day whenever jobs were available, repaired bicycles on weekends, and spent late evenings cleaning office buildings just to pay tuition fees that seemed impossible every semester. His hands were rough, his back constantly ached, and his shoes were held together with glue instead of stitches. Yet every time Serena smiled after earning another excellent grade, every sacrifice suddenly felt worthwhile. Serena knew how hard her father worked, but she never fully understood the weight he carried. Like many students trying to fit into a wealthy campus, she sometimes felt embarrassed by how different their lives were. Her classmates arrived in luxury cars while Marcus drove an aging pickup truck that coughed and rattled every time it started. Expensive designer clothes filled the campus, while Marcus wore the same carefully washed hoodie almost every week. Still, he never complained. Love had taught him that dignity was not measured by appearances. One sunny afternoon, Serena forgot an important project folder at home just hours before a presentation worth nearly half her final grade. Marcus immediately grabbed the folder, skipped his lunch break, and rushed across town. Dust still covered his clothes from the construction site, and sweat soaked through his faded hoodie, but none of that mattered. All he could think about was making sure his daughter succeeded. As Marcus walked into the beautiful college courtyard, conversations slowly faded. Students glanced toward the tired man carrying an old backpack and a folder protected inside a plastic grocery bag. Some assumed he was homeless. Others laughed at the worn knees of his jeans and the holes in his sneakers. Their whispers grew louder with every step. Then the unthinkable happened. One careless student intentionally bumped into Marcus while showing off for friends. The old backpack slipped from his shoulder and crashed onto the brick walkway. The zipper burst open, scattering everything he owned. Carefully folded work gloves, sewing needles used to repair Serena's clothes, unpaid bills, family photographs, and the lunch he had packed but never eaten rolled across the ground. Laughter erupted. Phones appeared everywhere. Videos began recording what many believed was nothing more than an embarrassing moment. Marcus slowly knelt down, gathering each item with shaking hands. He said nothing. Pride had long ago been replaced by quiet endurance. Every photograph he picked up reminded him why he refused to break. Serena arrived just in time to witness the heartbreaking scene. Her face turned pale as she saw dozens of classmates laughing at the one person who had given up everything for her future. Tears filled her eyes as she remembered every birthday her father skipped buying himself anything so she could have textbooks, every freezing winter he worked overtime, and every night he pretended not to be hungry after making sure she had enough to eat. Without caring who was watching, Serena ran across the courtyard, dropped to her knees beside Marcus, and helped collect every scattered item. Then she did something no one expected. She wrapped her arms tightly around her father and cried openly in front of the entire campus. The laughter stopped instantly. In the silence, Serena stood and faced everyone around her. She explained that the man standing beside her had worked 3 jobs for years without complaining. She revealed that every patched shirt they laughed at represented another tuition payment. Every worn shoe meant another semester she could stay in college. Every wrinkle on his face had been earned through sleepless nights spent building the future she now enjoyed. Many students lowered their phones in shame. One professor who had quietly witnessed everything stepped forward. He recognized Marcus immediately. Years earlier, Marcus had anonymously donated blood multiple times after a campus bus accident, refusing recognition because helping people was simply the right thing to do. The professor shared that story, and suddenly people realized this quiet man had been serving others long before anyone knew his name. Another staff member remembered Marcus repairing broken bicycles for neighborhood children every Christmas without charging a single dollar. Soon, more stories emerged. Security guards spoke of Marcus bringing coffee during cold mornings. Custodians remembered him staying late to help clean after storms even when he wasn't being paid. Piece by piece, the image everyone had formed based on his appearance completely fell apart. Within hours, the video that had begun as public humiliation spread across social media for a completely different reason. Millions watched not because of a poor father being mocked, but because of the incredible sacrifices hidden behind his humble life. Messages of support poured in from strangers around the country. Former students organized scholarship funds. Local businesses offered Marcus steady employment with better pay. The college created a hardship assistance program inspired by his story, ensuring future students would never have to choose between education and survival. Marcus accepted every gesture with the same quiet humility that had defined his life. He never sought revenge against those who mocked him. Instead, he simply hoped they had learned that kindness should always come before judgment. Months later, Serena graduated at the top of her class. As she crossed the stage, the loudest applause wasn't for academic honors. It was for the father sitting proudly in the front row wearing his only suit, one that had been carefully altered several times over the years. When Serena received her diploma, she walked straight to Marcus, placed the medal around his neck, and embraced him as tears filled the eyes of nearly everyone watching. In that unforgettable moment, the audience understood that the true graduate was not only the daughter who earned the degree, but also the father whose endless sacrifices had made that achievement possible. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with friends and family, and subscribe to Heartline Stories. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that remind the world compassion is never wasted. Special request: comment, "True wealth is a loving heart." If you believe a person's character will always be more valuable than their appearance or possessions. Because sometimes the poorest looking person in the crowd is carrying the richest heart, and sometimes the greatest heroes wear worn out shoes that the world is too busy judging to notice. True dignity is never found in expensive clothes, luxury cars, or crowded applause. It is found in silent sacrifices, unconditional love, and the courage to keep giving even when no one is watching. And on that unforgettable afternoon, an entire college learned that the measure of a person's worth is not what they own, but what they are willing to give for the people they love.